My heart is absolutely destroyed at the moment. I just finished reading this book this morning and I wanted to come on and film my review as quickly as possible so I could still feel the raw emotions that I felt this morning, to remember the tears I shed, and give you guys the best review that I possibly can. So in case you don't recognize the cover, we are reviewing the third book of the A Touch of Darkness series by Scarlett St. Clair. Well, actually, this is the fourth book if you consider Hades' point of view, which is called A Game of Fate. But I am planning a video on how to let you guys know how you should read the books because there are a lot that are coming out as well. But today's focus is this heart-breaking third book. This video does not contain any spoilers for the third book. However, there might be spoilers in regards to the other two books, so if you haven't read them, I wouldn't recommend watching this video. I do have a review on the first and second book on my channel. I will link them below, so you can go check that out. So in the second book, at the end, we were left with the promise of war as Persephone's mother unleashed a winter during summertime. Because Persephone refused to go back to her mother, she wants to stay with Hades, and we all know that her mother is totally against this relationship. So the third book kind of follows the aftermath of that, but it doesn't just focus on her mother's disapproval of her relationship with Hades. There's actually this whole new plot going on where there's a revolution that mortals are starting against the gods. I don't want to talk too much about that because I feel like it's a very big spoiler. Basically, Persephone and Hades are up against these people who want to get rid of the gods. They're against Persephone's mother. They're against the Olympian gods who don't know if they should approve of Persephone and Hades' relationship. So there are so many plots going on at the same time, which is why I think that the third book is the superior book in terms of plot. But let's just get to the review aspect of things. Let's start off with Persephone's character. So if you've seen my past videos on the first two books, you'll know that she wasn't necessarily my favorite main character. She could be a little bit whiny at times, a little bit annoying, but nothing that made me want to stop reading the book. In A Touch of Malice, I have to say that she gets a lot better. We start to really see a bit of a character development, more confidence in her, which I think is the perfect pace because if you've read the books, you'll know that Persephone was locked away for pretty much all of her life, never had a chance to use her powers. Her mother just destroyed her self-esteem. So it's completely normal for Persephone to have felt weakness in the other books. Like I said, in A Touch of Malice, she starts to develop her powers, and I'm very curious to know where it's going to go in the next few books because there are some things that are kind of unleashed and clues on how her powers might grow. So I'm very curious to see that. And in terms of her communication issues with Hades, it gets a lot better as well. They're both trying to communicate more and their relationship feels slowly more and more mature and stable. As for the side characters like Apollo, Sophie, Luce, Sibyl, Hermes, they're still my favorites and they do make an appearance in the book, as well as other characters that show up. We kind of get introduced to Zeus and Hera and all of the Olympian gods. Some characters will definitely annoy you more than others, but every book needs a villain, right? In terms of the writing, unfortunately something that I noticed, sometimes there were grammatical mistakes. So there would be words missing, or it would be the wrong word, but I'd still be able to figure out what the author meant. It's not very common. It's not like on every page or in every chapter. It's like, I think I spotted maybe 3 or 4, or maybe there's more that I didn't personally notice. First of all, she's a self-published writer, so already I think that's a very difficult feat. You don't necessarily have all of the resources to help you properly edit. But besides that, my condolences to the writer. Apparently she lost her father this year, so it must have been difficult to have to write a book while grieving. So I don't really hold it against her, but if you're a grammar police and it really bothers you when a book has grammatical mistakes, then you might not enjoy the book as much, but I just wasn't too picky on it. All that to say, the writing style is pretty much the same as the first and second book. Nothing that amazes me, but it's not bad enough for me to want to stop. It's okay. I think she still does a really good job at descriptions, at making you feel certain emotions. It's just that in this case there were some grammatical mistakes and it happens. As for the pacing of the stories, one comment that I have about this is that it kind of felt repetitive sometimes. There would be something that happens, people getting hurt, Persephone getting hurt, Hades getting worried, and then they would pretty much jump into bed. And the thing is, I can't really complain because that is one of my favorite tropes. I love it when the main character gets hurt, is in danger, and the love interest gets worried, absolutely loses it. So even though it was repetitive, I could not care less because I could read that trope over and over again and I wouldn't care. And I feel like every event that transpired was relevant to the plot and was relevant to how the story was progressing. I do wish that Hades had a bigger role in the sense that he was kind of just there to make sure Persephone was okay every time something happened, or he'd be one of the people who finds her, and basically he was mostly used for the spice scenes, right? I wish we got to see a little bit more about his personality, but maybe that will be in his point of view. After all, this is Persephone's point of view, so I can't really judge it too much. The spice level in this book is, I think, tripled compared to the first and second book. Overall, even though I've kind of been in a reading slump, it is a book that's pretty hard to put down because you really want to know what happens, especially when you get to the ending, which, like I said, completely destroyed me in every sense. So many things happened and I wish I could tell you all, I wish I could talk about it, but I don't want to spoil. So many bad things happen and it just ends on a really big cliffhanger, and now I'm gonna have to wait a whole year for the next book to come out. And this is why I don't like reading books when the series is not finished. But I just couldn't wait for A Touch of Darkness. I mean, apparently there's going to be 6 or 7 books, so if I really wanted to wait for the series to be complete, I would be waiting a very long time. As for my rating of the book, I'm going to give it a 9 on 10. Like I said, I enjoyed the plot, I enjoyed the spice, I enjoyed the romance. It loses a point just because the writing style, the fact that sometimes it does feel a little bit repetitive, but I just love this series. I love the romance and I really, really hope it's a happy ending. I am terrified at the moment and I really hope that Hades and Persephone get to be together all the time, not just 6 months a year like in the original Greek mythology. They deserve it. They deserve to be together in the underworld. Happy, happy, happy. I don't like bittersweet endings or 50% happy endings. I want 100%. So I think it's definitely worth reading if you enjoyed A Touch of Darkness and A Touch of Ruin. So if you've read it, please let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to know your opinions on it. If you agree, if you disagree, if you hated it, loved it. And make sure to follow my Instagram and TikTok, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.